And joining me now is Daalder. He's a former U.S. ambassador to NATO under President Obama and the chief executive of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. Ambassador, it's good to have you on again. So this could be the fourth and final day of this truce. Do you see this as a success if it does not extend beyond today?
You know, every day there's no fighting allows two really important things to happen. Hostages to be released, to be reunited with their families, and very much needed humanitarian aid to be coming in. And a lot of aid has been coming in, of course, not enough given the needs that exist in Gaza. But even if the fighting resumes, and I assume actually it will, even if you get 1 or 2 more days of extension, the fighting will resume. The gains that you've had, hostages being released, much needed aid coming in, are important. And we should never forget that ultimately people are the ones who suffer in war, and they are now being helped at least a little bit.
Ambassador, you've been talking about the challenge, the bind that President Biden finds himself in supporting Israel forcefully and publicly, asking Israel tough questions about how they reach their goals privately, and also trying to prevent this from all spilling over regionally. Do you see the challenges getting harder or easier as this heads now into its 7th week and this first truce may be coming to an end?
I think the challenges continue to be very difficult. Glimmer of hope is I think that the original early fears back immediately after the events of October 7, that this would lead to a regional conflagration that would not just involve Israel and Gaza, but would bring in Hezbollah from the north and perhaps even Iran directly. I think fears of that kind of escalation have died down a little bit. But now there is the concern, which has been there really from day one, and President Biden has been expressing that privately in all kinds of ways, and increasingly publicly, that the strategy that Israel has embarked upon is not going to be able to succeed in eliminating the threat of Hamas without causing incredible and untold damage to the people in Gaza, and that ultimately the strategy doesn't have a good sense of what comes after. And so the president, while supporting Israel, something he feels in his core, also given the events of October 7, inevitable for any American and any American president to support them, has used that support to try to convince Netanyahu to find new ways to alter his strategy. And he's been successful to some extent. Israel did not attack Hezbollah, which some people wanted. Israel delayed the ground invasion. It didn't have as many troops in the ground invasion as possible. And of course, now we see humanitarian aid coming in, which Israel prevented, and hostages coming out. That is all due to President Biden using his private diplomacy to try to get the Israeli government to move in a direction that is more successful than it was initially engaged in.
One area where the president to this point hasn't been successful in terms of his engagement in trying to support Israel is having to do with the aid, the emergency aid to Israel, as well as for future aid to Ukraine, because the future of this aid, now these two that they would like to be linked, is really coming to a head this week and next, as the Senate Majority Leaders promised that he's going to hold a vote on the Senate floor over this emergency aid funding that's really been caught in limbo now for weeks over inter-party and intra-party kind of disagreements over how much aid, any aid, conditions on aid that is needed. From your unique perspective, where are you on this?
Well, Kate, it's sad that that politics within and between parties are stopping something that is so obviously needed. We need to help Israel. We need to provide humanitarian aid to the people in Gaza, and we need absolutely to help Ukraine defend itself against the attack that it has been suffering from Russia. This is something that all Americans and then frankly Republicans and Democrats ought to be agreeing on, and yet we have now been waiting for weeks and weeks and weeks to even get a vote. And we know that if there is a vote in the House and in the Senate, there will be large bipartisan majorities in favor of aid to Ukraine, in favor of aid to Israel, in favor even of humanitarian assistance to the Palestinians and the people in Gaza. And it's this strange congressional politics that has prevented that. I remain optimistic. I think the administration remains optimistic that we will get to a vote. Luckily, the Senate Majority Leader and the Senate Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell, are very much in favor of moving forward with the whole package of aid. And let's hope we can get that vote done as soon as possible and stop the internal politics that is preventing the much needed aid to reach the people who really need it. And those are the people who are on the ground fighting in these disparate places and wars that they are facing.
Ambassador Daalder, thank you so much for coming on. It's good to see you again.
My thanks.